How many of these have you done so far today?
I have done 10, 12.
Oof.
But you know what? You were the one I'm looking forward to. This is going to be the best one. I know it. I feel it in my bones.
Paul Reiser joining me on the line right now as he has done 10 interviews so far. I always wonder about that. That's such a crazy thing to think about, to do 10 interviews all in a row, right?
Sometimes, but you know what? It's actually kind of fun. You're getting drop in all over the country, and you get to meet nice people and talk about things that you're excited to talk about. So I actually enjoy these. I enjoy talking about them.
It's just a part of the business that people don't talk about very often that I always think is kind of fascinating, because there's some of these interviews that you get, if you're at the beginning, it's like, oh, we got to get going because, you got to stay on schedule. And then by the end, it's like, are you worn out? Are you tired of doing it? And so on and so forth. Where are we at right now with this? We're in a good mood, right?
We are good. I'm telling you, I've done several of these today. This will be the pinnacle. And I will even tell anyone who comes after this. I said, you know what the good one was? You missed it. That was in Iowa.
There you go. I like that.
I've never been. I'm coming to Iowa next month. I've never been to Mason City, never been to Cedar Falls. We're going to correct that next month.
When you were putting together this show, how did you pick those two towns?
Here's my very scientific method.
Okay, let's hear it.
My agent, I don't know what he does. He just calls around, and I don't know how it works. And he'll come to me and go, "Hey, there's an offer in Maine. You want to go? Okay." And we have Iowa, Mason City, and Cedar Falls. You want to go? And, okay. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care where I go everywhere. But sometimes I have to buy him a map because he'll say Iowa and then Anchorage, Alaska, and then the next night in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I will go. Okay, that's not good. That's not consecutive. Those are not contiguous states. But the truth is, it's a tour, but it's really spread out. I like to be home. I don't like being out on the road too long. So I'll go out and do a weekend somewhere, and then next weekend go somewhere else. So I do get to spread it out. But you know what? Anywhere you go, it's comedians love a stage, man. And you get to a nice theater and get to a new town where they haven't seen yet. It's all good. It's all exciting for me.
Tell me about a Paul Reiser show now as compared to maybe like 20 years ago. What are we going to see when you do come to town?
Here's the best way I can explain it, because I never know how to explain what I do. People are like, well, stand-up show. So I was talking to actually the papers in Iowa. They said, well, what can people expect? I said, have you ever seen Cirque du Soleil? Okay, yeah. It's the opposite of that. That's what I do. Whatever you think Cirque du Soleil, none of that is in my show. So there's no high wire act, there's no juggling, there's no contortion. Other than that, is just, you know what it is? And I always say, people say, what do you talk about? I said, it's nothing at all important. I go, we're not going to talk politics, we're not going to talk social. I go, thank God. People really want a break. So I get up and I just tell people, really, my comedy has always been like, well, here's the silly stuff that happened to me. Tell me if this happened to you. And invariably, people are laughing because they go, yeah, that sounds like me. That sounds like my house. We had the same fight in my house, my wife and I. And so people like to find out that they're not the only ones going through these things. And for me, it's when they laugh, it's like very validating because I think, oh, thank goodness it's not just me going through this.
You say that, and when I was doing morning radio a few years ago, that was always the thing. It's like, how relatable can you be? What story is it that, about the gas pump or going to, because other people do that too,
Yes.
Now, going to the gas pump for me is probably not near as funny as it is for you or, what have you. But I mean, that relatable stuff always seems to be the stuff that people connect with.
And you got to find a way to make it yours. And as a comic, your job is to take something that everybody can relate to. Or if they have, sometimes it's something you made up. It's not. It's something relatable, but you got to make it relatable to people. But what's been fun for me? There's a thing that I took a lot of time off. I hadn't done stand-up for many years. And when I went back, this is now after Mad About You, and I would talk to people on stage or meet people after the show, and everybody had a story. They come over and they say, boy, we loved Mad About You. That episode, that really hit home for my wife and I. Or we always do that joke. Years later, we still do that joke or that scene. Or gee, we got married to your theme song. And these are things I never knew. When the show was on, we didn't have social media, so people weren't chiming in. So for me, getting out there and actually meeting people and finding out that oh, you know that silly show you did years ago? People really liked that. It's like, it sounds stupid to say. It was like, I didn't know that. I mean, I knew it was being watched, but I didn't know how things land with people personally. And so it's been really great fun for me to get out there and meet people and be in different parts of the country and to hear that, yeah, wherever they are, they were digging it and they liked what you do. And it's nice to find that out.
Paul Reiser coming to town for his upcoming tour. We'll have all the dates and times and links at the bottom of the page. You're also showing up in a lot of different shows, and I don't want this to be taken wrong, but shows that I wouldn't expect a Paul Reiser to kind of show up in. Does that make sense?
Hey, me and you too. Listen, I have no business being in Stranger Things, and I certainly have no business being in The Boys. I'd be the first to tell you that, so you're not wrong.
When they were pitching The Boys to you, how did they come across? What did they say? What was the selling point for you?
Well, firstly, you get a nice, my agent, as I will call it, said, hey, there's a show called The Boys, and they'd love you to be on 2 episodes. And I said, I don't know, I was not familiar with it. I hadn't heard of it because there's just so many shows.
Yeah.
I have a 21-year-old son who's like, he watches everything the day it comes out. He knows everything. So I said to him, have you heard of this show, The Boys? Because they want me to be on it. And he said, oh, it's great, and you'll hate it. I went, I said, that sounds like just my cup of tea. It's great, and I'll hate it. And I watched it. I went, okay, I know what you mean, because it's so not even the show that I would watch. It's just really another world. My tastes run the other direction. I like, less supernatural and less science fiction. But when he said you'll hate it, it's really violent and graphic and over the top. But like they do that really well. It's so over the top that it's funny. And so they had this part, and it was really funny. I said, well, this is, I didn't have to be a superhero. I didn't have to be suspended from a ceiling in any kind of high wire thing. It was just me sitting there smoking a cigar, talking to these young guys. I went, that sounds like a lot of fun. And it was great. You never know. You join a show that's already up and running, and you're the new kid in school. Are they going to sit with me at lunch? And they were so great, and they were also happy to see a new face. They're getting tired of each other week after week. So when somebody new comes in, they're thrilled for a little change of pace. But they were great to a person. All the actors were great, and it's fun for me because it isn't the type of audience that I would get. And now when I do shows like I'll be doing in Mason City and Cedar Falls, audiences come, and I can just look at the audience and know where they're coming from. Oh, that's a Stranger Things crowd. That's a Kaminsky Method guy. That's a Mad About You couple. You can just tell, and it's really kind of cool for me to realize they're all coming from different places, but they're all laughing, and we're all having a great time here tonight. So that's all you can ever ask for. You're bringing people in, and you're celebrating, and you're having a great community moment.
Going back to Stranger Things real quick, I could never peg if you were a good guy or a bad guy in that show.
Again, me neither. You're right on the money. That was the first thing I asked the Duffer Brothers who created the show. They invited me on, and they told me a little of the character, and I was sort of taking over the operation from Matthew Modine, who messed it up the first season. So I said, so am I a good guy or a bad guy? That was my first question. And they went, yeah, we don't know.
Oh.
I went, wait a minute, you actually don't know, or you just don't want to tell me? They go, no, we don't know. And so it's a very interesting thing to play a character that you yourself don't know. Am I full of it? Or am I genuine? I don't know. And it kind of added a level of suspense for me, too. And it's gone back and forth. It's like, in my head, it's like, I think he's proven himself to be a good guy. He's done some nice things.
Yeah.
But somebody who really loves the show and is a fan of mine said, I don't know if that's true. He said, I kind of think you've made some bad choices, the character. And I went, really? He goes, yeah, I don't trust you. I went, interesting. And that's part of why I think the show is so good, because there's a lot you can't quite figure out, and you got to keep coming back.
I had to go back and rewatch because there was so much time in between, like the fourth and fifth season. And I got to the second season where you show up, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how much you were in this.
Yeah, me too. Well, it's funny because it takes so long. Like this last season, which was the fourth season.
Yeah.
They filmed that over 20 months because it started and then COVID, and they shut down and started and shut down again. And then they edited it. So by the time it came out, I don't remember it either. And I'm watching it, and I'm going, oh, right. I forgot. I got beaten up by that guy. I didn't remember anything. So it's all new to me. That's the fun part.
Paul Reiser on the line with me right now. He's going to be in Iowa here in a few weeks. We'll have that info at the bottom of the page. As You did mention you had another project coming up. Are you going to do Stranger Things or The Boys, or what's kind of in the crosshairs for Paul Reiser here in the next
Well,
year?
I'm waiting to hear. Again, you and me, we're in the same boat. I don't know if we're going to if Stranger Things has me in season 5 or not.
Well, wait.
They're writing it now.
You were like dying on a staircase again at the end, weren't you?
Yeah, but Matthew Modine is dead too, but maybe he's not. You don't know.
That's the thing. Because wasn't there a similar thing? Because I think you surprised me coming back because I thought you had died. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I thought, but they do that really well. We leave him and he's dead. It's like I thought so too. So I say, yeah, it's the second time I'm down a floor dying. But they don't like to kill people. They like to surprise you. So I don't know. But I know the other thing I do know. I did another show that's coming out on HULU, September 20th.
Okay.
Which is right the week that I'll be in Iowa.
Yep.
The show is called Reboot, and it's about a fictitious sitcom that gets rebooted, and it's all about behind the scenes. Yeah, so it's not about that sitcom so much as it's about the new people trying to make it, bring it back. And it was like a silly family comedy that, well, now the little cute kids aren't cute anymore, and they're not a kid anymore, and the grown-ups hate each other, and the writers, they try to bring in new writers to make it hip and relevant. And I play the guy who originally created the show and wants to keep it old and funny. Not old, but old school and funny. So it's really funny. And it's created by the guy who created Modern Family.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's very much in that world where it's really funny, but it's a lot of heart, and you have these great characters that you'll really care about. And so that's called Reboot, and it's on HULU starting September 20th. But in the meantime, I'm out and about doing stand-up and happy to hit the road.
Hey, going back to you just made me think of something, and I'm curious about it because it seems like the world's a little bit different when the whole streaming services and stuff came back. It's not as going backwards as it used to be to like go back and do a really good TV show now, right?
Yeah, that line has been blurred. I think it's very old. That idea that 30 years ago was like, well, movies was the thing and TV was a step below. But it's just not the case. Especially now, because movies, it's hard to. What's a movie? You're watching it on Netflix. But also, there's just so many great shows, and it's also a different. It's a whole different paradigm. You do a season of a show, it could be eight half hours. Well, that's like nothing. When you're used to doing 24, 25, 26 episodes a season, to do 8 feels like just swinging with one bat. It's like, oh, this is a piece of cake. And you get to do so many different things. So I get to do, go be in 4 episodes of Stranger Things and 8 episodes of HULU and 2 episodes of The Boys. You can dance around the channels a bit. And so for us, it's really great. In the same way as a viewer, you get to watch all these different things. And what's great about streaming is that, they stay up there. So if you miss it, it'll be there in a year. It's not like, oh, that show is pulled. It's like, no, nothing's pulled. It's all waiting for you to get there.
Awesome. Paul Reiser joining me on the line. He'll be in Iowa here in the month of September. We'll get those details at the website. How's the family, Paul?
Family is good. They can't wait to get me on the road. When is he leaving? That's the big question here. When is Dad going to go out? I said September 23rd, 24th, Iowa. That's where I'll be. So all is good here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Awesome. Paul, take it easy. Have a great day, okay?
Thanks so much. Take care.